Everybody, as people are filtering in, we'll get started in just a minute. I just want to make sure everyone gets into the room. We have large attendance this morning, so as soon as I see that most people are in here, we'll get going. Okay, looks like we've got some good capacity, so we'll go ahead and get started. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Sean Michael Morris, the acting head of pedagogy at GPT-0 and the host for today's webinar on using AI effectively. This webinar is the last in a series that began in early May, and it makes up some of the content for GPT-0's Teaching Responsibly with AI certificate program. Today's webinar will look at how we can introduce students to and role model responsible use of AI. GPT-0 is hosting the certificate program and webinar series in order to build awareness and skills amongst teachers about the responsible use of AI at all levels of teaching and learning. In keeping with the mission of preserving what's human in education, the focus here is on your work in your classroom. Our speaker today is Manal Salah. Manal is an educator, innovator, and lifelong learner with over 25 years of experience across business, international development, and education. At Nova Scotia Community College's School of Business and Creative Industries, Manal brings a spirit of curiosity and creativity to the classroom, especially as a leader in integrating AI into teaching and learning. Manal is deeply committed to student-centered learning and ethical engagement with emerging technologies. And recently, she and a colleague developed the AirBAS model for AI integration in teaching and learning, and had the opportunity to present that model at the Teaching Professor Conference earlier this month. They're also planning to co-facilitate a community practice titled Shared Sparks, which will be a university-wide effort. Manal holds a master's in economics for international development and will start her PhD in managing at St. Mary's University this fall. Now, as we get started, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat and to use that space to connect with each other. If you have questions for Manal, please use the Q&A function in Zoom to post them. There are a lot of folks in attendance today, so the Q&A function is probably the best way for us to keep questions organized and to answer as many as possible. And one more note. The recording of this session will be shared by email on Monday next week, along with Manal's slides. That email will also include a link to a final survey for the program. If you have questions about the program or any other questions for me, please email me at sean@gpt0.me. And now, without further ado, please welcome Manal Salah to the stage. Manal, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sean, for the introductions, and thank you for bringing me back to a learning community. You know how passionate I am about sharing, so I really appreciate every opportunity that I get invited to such spaces. And surprisingly, actually, the colleague that developed with me the AirBAS model and the shared sparks is actually in the attendance. We just learned about that a few minutes ago because we are sharing the same campus. So look at the odds. I guess our stars are lined up. So I'm gonna just go ahead and share my slides. I'll jump right into it because I know there's a lot of things that I want to share, and I know that we're kind of crunched in time. I also want to allow some time to have questions and answers. Hopefully there's a lot of questions. About AI or new technology, I like to always use this quote in my slides, and it is acknowledging our role in the education process. Yeah. It's technology is going to augment education delivery, and it's not going to replace the human connections that we establish with our learners. So kudos to all of you putting on your curiosity hat and learning about how to integrate AI responsibly in teaching and learning. I have a few things that I have kind of put together for today. I'm going to start with a brief discussion of what is responsible use of AI for you? Like from your perspective, how do you define that term that we've been, hearing more oftenly over the past year and a half? And what does responsible use of AI look like? So what am I doing about it? And some practical applications and how you can role model some of the practices of responsible use of AI. And then we're going to have final insights and Q&A at the end. So the purpose of this session is basically to focus on practical strategies for responsible AI use. And it's not detection. It's not detection. It's not plagiarism. It's not, we do acknowledge the importance of academic integrity, but it's not from a detection point of view, but rather from a responsibility or a responsible use mindset. You're going to walk away today with some guidelines. I hope I inspire you to take action. You're going to walk away with maybe examples of prompts and different strategy or strategies, just inspiration for strategies for student engagement. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Okay, so to start, I want you to think, don't put anything in the chat yet. Okay, I want you to take 20 seconds to think, what does responsible use of AI mean to you? And we're going to just take 20 seconds. And what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Type it in the chat, but don't hit enter, okay? Don't hit enter so that we don't influence one another's thoughts. Don't hit enter unless you are prompted to hit enter. I'm going to say enter, and then we get our chat to explode. So for 20 seconds, and I'm going to count for 20 seconds, think of what does responsible use of AI mean to you. Type it in the chat, wait for my prompt to hit enter, and then hit enter. Okay, 20 seconds just finished. Hit enter, but some of you just hit enter before I prompted you, so it's all right. Okay. So not replacing learning, I hear that a lot. Ethical use, so ethical and social considerations, ethic as number one, modeling, so some capacity development here. So modeling how to use AI in professional settings. I'm going to skip through a few things. Use it to correct thoughts and add to your knowledge, not replace you. So as a collaborator, brainstorming, lesson planning, so different ways, exploring different ways that we can use AI for teaching and learning. Okay, lots of comments in the chat. Yeah, so giving students ownership so they come up with their thoughts rather than copying answers from AI. Okay, I'm going to ask you another question. And so I want you to scan this QR code, and the first 50 response I just want to have a look at the different themes that responsible use of AI cover from the responses that you have provided. So scan this QR code, and the first 50 responses, we're just going to have a look at the composition of that sample. So not all of you will be able to do it. That's fine, because I just used the free version of this one, and I just wanted it to be a conversation opener. Yeah. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds. It's just a click. Interesting. I can see it. You can't see it yet, so I'm going to stop this share and share something else so that you see what is the composition of the 50 responses. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so 80% of 86% of responses, as you can see, would adopt responsible use of AI for ethical and transparent use. Some would adopt it in a way where you would consider critical thinking and authentic evaluations. 41, so almost half, 58%. And then 40% will focus on the skill building and empowerment. So responsible use of AI includes all of that. So you can adopt it in any manner that resonates with you. Just an entry point, and then you can add on, and then you can add on, and then you can add on. Inclusive and supportive pedagogy as well. So also focusing on accessibility and inclusion. And even other things that are not included in those four themes. And I wonder what would be those the 7%, what would it represent? In what other areas do you think that is related to responsible use of AI and could be a potential entry point in the adoption of responsible use of AI? So let me tell you the story of how I am adopting responsible use of AI. I'm not going to tell you the full story, how I started, but I really started small, very baby steps. And then now I have some shared sparks to share with this community of learning. At the beginning, so I'm now primarily focused on skill building and ethical and transparent use. So I'm working on that AI literacy of students, trying to encourage and promote building AI competency. And I'm also focusing on providing guidelines around what does responsible use of AI look like. And I'm also modeling through one of the class activities. I actually modeled how they can a number of things that I've adopted in my course, but there's one particular class activity that I modeled how to use AI responsibly to augment learning. And I focused on these two areas because as much as we, as post-secondary educators, are concerned about academic integrity, students are also concerned about academic integrity. They are too. All reports internationally say that they need to understand what counts as appropriate use versus cheating for their specific context. And where is the line drawn between using AI to support and augment the learning or the over-reliance on AI? So they want clear and concise guidelines and policies to ensure that ethical and fair use of AI is in place. Okay. And they also are looking for our support. And that's why I focused on skills building. They're looking at us, expecting that as their faculty, we will support them in their learning institutions. So some of the things that I did through what you need to know about AI. This is a learning module that I have developed on and I think I'm still sharing I'm gonna stop this share. I think I'm still sharing the Menti. So, oops, sorry. So I'm gonna share this one. Okay. Right. this will provide you some context. So how I'm adopting it. So I developed a learning module. I called it What You Need to Know About AI. And I have integrated this learning module in the learning management system. We use D2L Brightspace. I've integrated that as a learning module in all my courses. And I've integrated that to help students build their digital literacy and be workplace ready. I also modeled effective use of AI in assignments and in classroom activities, showing how can AI support them in their learning. So providing really precise and concise guidelines on an assignment basis and also in class activities. In those guidelines, I provide clarity on how to use it and how you should use it to augment the learning and teaching. And I created those boundaries to protect academic integrity and created that linkage between the use of AI and academic integrity. And in this process, I have encouraged students to explore AI as for creativity and increased productivity. So let me show you. I'm gonna demo those things. So don't worry if you cannot kind of visualize it. So I'm going to help you with that. Okay. And as I said, I did this because this is the expectations of students, but I did it very gradually. So this is what my learning module looks like. It's a Brightspace file. If you use Brightspace or Moodle or any other learning management system, I'm pretty sure you can create a file and just put it as part of content. I integrate this in most of my courses as part of the course content. I ask students to go through it during the first week in the term before things pile up and they get assignments. It's during that orientation week, I really encourage them to do that. I don't really encourage them. I obligate them to do that so that they can access my course material. Otherwise, they won't access the course material. I want to be sure that they have kind of a basic knowledge base about the responsible use of AI. So in this learning module, I talk about what is AI. So what is artificial intelligence? What are some of the abbreviations that we'll see? I talk about if they are using AI already to actually, I'm going to show you all of that. I talk about limitations because we all heard about hallucinations. I talk about prompt engineering and how to prompt AI and speak that large language model or speak AI. I don't forget academic integrity guidelines in the post-secondary institution. And so how about I move on to the demo part of this, the fun part. I'm gonna switch my my screen to a live show. Okay. And here we go. Okay, so this is what the learning module looks like on Brightspace. And it is an accordion. So every time I click on something, some information will appear. It's an interesting read because it gives a little bit of history and it's kind of, I grab their attention with the fact that it's not new and it's been there since 1956. It might be an attention grabber. I know it needs some, some visuals and some work, but I just put this thing together. And some abbreviations. I talk about its limitations through an exercise that really showcases how any AI or generative AI model is actually a probability game. It's just a statistical model that predicts text, but it's really good because it's fed with a lot of data. It's really good in protecting good text that is relevant to the prompt. So this is an exercise where they just match statements and it's it's kind of, yeah, it looks fancy, it sounds fancy. So just to show them how it works, I talk about AI hallucinations with examples. And then here's the things that we start talking serious, okay? Why do you want to use it? Do you want to help get started on an assignment? Yes, you can use it. Do you want to improve what you've already done? Yeah, sure, no problem. That's improving quality. You want to explain an idea in simpler terms or in a different way, or you wrote it in your mother tongue and you want it to be professionally expressed in a different language, then yes, you can do that. You can ask your teacher and check the handbook to ensure that this type of use is acceptable. If it's going to fully complete assignment, no. Or help with research and find codes and resources, then no. At the time this was published, AI had high levels of hallucinations. So kind of guidelines of conversation starters, okay? And then I provide also here, this is an evaluation and an assessment scale that was developed by Leon Force in Australia. He is a renowned AI expert, and he does a lot of research in education, impact of education on technology. And they came up with this assessment scale that kind of provides that preliminary guidelines on what you would allow students to use, or kind of the nature of the usage that you're allowing in your assessments and evaluations. So, and they color coded that. So no AI, absolutely no AI. We really want the student voice to be there. AI must not be used at any point during the assignment, and it's okay to say that. Like I have an assignment last year, I've had an assignment in organizational behavior where they need to do a personality assessment, and they really need to reflect on that, on their personality traits, and create that connection with the type of work they want to do when they graduate. So I really wanted to be authentic. And at the time, I said, absolutely no AI. I really want to hear your voice on this. And I now, if I redo that, I might go into AI assisted idea generation and structuring. But at the time, I said no AI, and I was clear. As long as you provide clear guidelines, you're good. That's what students are looking for. You may go on the scale to a scale of 5, which is full AI use. You may use throughout the assessment, and everything in between is kind of within that grade. It's giving you, I even went further with that, and I detailed that. So I gave examples. You can use it as, to create a table of content, or brainstorming, or generating edited versions. So you can set the guidelines. And I think using when I started doing that, I just cut the strip of Force's assessment scale, just the strip, and I put it in the assignment. And I used to say, this assignment is code yellow. This assignment is code red. And they knew what code yellow and code red meant. And it opens up conversation between the faculty and the students, of course. And then if you use AI, just a bit of caution. You can use it to, this is from our education institution perspective, you can use it to generate ideas. So that's why I'm quoting the institution, Nova Scotia Community College. But be aware that it has been known to create false information. So some things to look out for. I integrated our academic integrity policy. I give the students how to cite it. So if you're going to use it, how to cite it, because attribution is still important. We're not ditching academic integrity, and we're not ditching referencing. So in-text citation, what does it look like? What does a reference list entry looks like? And I'm giving them examples of how to cite. And the link that they provide is actually the link to the conversation that they have had with the AI model, okay? They can just click on the three dots, grab the link, and put it as part of their citation so that I also can support them in that, in being proficient in AI modeling language, okay? Making sure that they are prompting correctly. Then a little buy-in, because not all students have a buy-in on AI. We still have some resistors that think that it's going to go away. So a little bit of convincing here and relevance to their industries, showing them an example of that the term responsible use of AI in industry is out there, and also AI governance, and that different institutions are adopting strategies for responsible use of AI and ensuring human oversight. And that includes even CIBC, one of our big six banks in Canada. And then I also share with them facts about rates of adoption in industry so that they get prepared. It is also their responsibility as learners to develop their competencies. So more kind of facts to get them on board. So reports, this is my buy-in, trying to get their buy-in so that they become as curious as me. And I even, because ChatGPT is the one that kind of got all those users in a short amount of time. It's beyond ChatGPT. We now have Copilot and Gemini, and I'm just showcasing that ChatGPT is one of many tools that perform different functions, and they could utilize those tools to increase their productivity as well as enhance their learning. And then I say, because of course, every education institution has their policies on the adoption of technology. So I say that this is not the list that is approved by your education institution, but it's, if you want to learn it on your own, you have free will. I go into prompt engineering, how to prompt. And so a little bit of, education here. And this is quite important. So this was published by UNESCO in 2024. And here it's beyond doing your assignment. So they don't know. They have this tool that can give them a shortcut into writing a big fat essay that is really boring, and they don't have time for it because they probably are juggling a job and family and other things outside of school. So beyond doing, how can you use AI? If you're using AI, and we know that you're using AI, how else can you use it for? So beyond doing assignments, you can use it as a brainstorming engine or a debating counterpart. It could be your collaborator, and it's going to be a collaborator for all of us. That's kind of the futuristic view that I have, that everyone's going to have an AI agent. And the agent is going to be a reflection of you and how you prompt it and how you think, and it's going to augment us. It could be your guide on the side, your personal tutor, and that's how I actually showcase them. So I have an in-class activity where I show them how they could utilize AI to be their tutor, and that's also, I'm going to demo this one as well. So different ways to use AI and for learning. So to kind of widen the use away from creating just assignments. And then a few suggested courses if they want to learn more, because they have access to LinkedIn Learning. So a few more courses that they could join. Okay. Are you seeing the slides? You're seeing the slides, right? Okay. All right. The other thing is that I focused on is setting expectations. So setting expectations, I'm gonna stop this share and share something else. I want to share the guidelines that you will be getting at the end, and it is Actually open. All right. And share. No, not this one. Sorry. For some reason, I can't find it. I know it's open. Okay, let me exit this one. Yeah, here we go. Super. Did the display change? Okay. So clear expectations. Responsible use of AI is not just about AI literacy. It's also about being clear on what is appropriate and inappropriate use in that context of learning. And here we have control. You set your guidelines. You can provide general submission instructions, and along with those submission instructions, just provide some guidelines on the use of AI, okay? So be a little bit more elaborate on what is the picture you want to see. How is the work going to be done in collaboration with AI? So just say it out and clear. You may use AI tools to plan, develop ideas, prepare tasks, conduct preliminary research. You may use it only to generate ideas and outcomes for your approach, and give examples. So be elaborate. Like, how do you envision using AI for different assignments, and include it in your guidelines, as part of your guidelines. The other thing is, include some language about it in your work plans or your syllabi. Okay, you can include preliminary expectations about AI and academic integrity in that work plan and or your syllabus. Okay, so this is, for example, the work plan language that we have used here at the Nova Scotia Community College. We kind of proposed that, and it was taken further. So saying that, okay, we need the citation, so academic integrity is still in use. Don't, use artificial intelligence. With the use of artificial intelligence without proper citation is considered to be plagiarism, because attribution has to be mentioned. And say it can generate mistakes, so include that warning. Any violation to the policy is going to be considered as academic mistake. Like, be clear in your guidelines. You may even include it in your rubric. They use kind of the level of use and whether they have followed guidelines for use or not. So just as you create rubrics to provide clear criteria on how you're going to evaluate students' work, create also guidelines around how do you expect responsible use of AI in for your courses, for your different courses. I'm gonna jump to using AI as a study buddy. And I'm going to show you. So I'm going to share the link to a document. Let me just, okay, let me just share the length of the prompt, share the document of the prompt on the screen, so that I talk a little bit about it before I share with you the link. Okay. So here's another example. And in this example, this is an in-class activity where I showcase to students not only how exhaustive can prompting be, because I teach them in that module, they get to learn about prompting, and then we have those discussions. And then I show them how exhaustive a prompt could be, really defining the task and the role and the persona of the AI that they are integrating with. But I'm also here in this activity, I showcased how generative AI can be used to augment and personalize their learning. So everything inside this box that you see on the screen, inside the block of the box, the black box, is actually a prompt. A prompt that they copy and paste into any generative AI model. They have to interact, they have to have a conversation with that AI model for some time in class, and then they have to reflect on that learning and identify, what were the gaps and how did it go for them and how they could further utilize AI as to, support their learning. So I'm going to share the link to this document that has the prompt. And yeah, please try it on any AI model of your choice. Okay, let's see. Let's hope it works. Enter. So this is the document. I hope the link works. The document link. I want you just to copy everything. Just Control A, copy everything. Go to any AI model that you're using, whether it's Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, ChatGPT, OpenAI, any one of them. Just copy everything and paste it. Yeah, the link is in the chat. So the link is in the chat. Not seeing the link. Okay. Maybe. Oh, I should have created a QR code for it.
Manal,
Yeah.
just one second. So you shared it with the hosts and panelists and not with everyone in the chat.
Oh,
Go
not
ahead
with
and mark
everyone.
everyone.
Okay, okay,
But then
okay.
also, I'm noticing the permissions in the link are not set for everyone to view. So if you wouldn't mind just changing the
Oh, the
permissions on
permissions?
Google Doc.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, okay. Anyone with the link. Got it. Okay. Access updated. Done. Is it working now?
One sec, let me check.
Okay. Let's hope it does. Mm. Are you able to grab the link and just paste it in the public?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so I'll share it again. Oh yeah, hosts and panelists. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. I got it.
Awesome. Done. Okay. Hopefully it's gonna work. So I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes just to try that. Just let us know that it's working, folks. If it's not working, just raise the flag, pull the ending cord.
Looks like folks have access, so it's all working.
Awesome. Music to my ears. So you're gonna try it yourself. Just access that. Control A, take everything, copy it, paste it in a chat, and just interact. Let the AI model initiate the conversation. You'll notice here that, if you're reading through the prompt, it's quite detailed. I'm really, really creating a specific task for the model. And I'm showcasing to students how does that look like. Well, I'm not requiring students to be as exhaustive as this prompt, but I do talk with students about chain prompting and how to follow up on a specific request that you have given the AI model. And basically, that big prompt is all of the conversation just pulled into together in one communication to the model. So I give it a role, a persona. You are an AI tutor, and this is your job. That's how you're going to start the conversation. This is what you're going to do throughout the conversation. You're going to give an example. You're going to start from where the students know. Um, you are going to use leading questions like these. You're going to address common challenges. And this was a specific concept that my year one students were struggling with, which is time value of money. They just, every time in an exam, if I ask them an open question about it, they're not able to articulate what does time value of money really mean. And through this interaction, I kind of get them to build on their basic understanding and build knowledge of the concept. So engage the user in the conversation, provide them with support, and wrap up. And I ask the students in class to actually use that for 15 to 20 minutes to just interact with the AI model. Usually I give them a link to an AI agent that I have set up, but they can use any. If you, like you did, you've used different AI models, and I'm curious to know how did that go. So how did this go? Like, what are some of the insights you have around that? You may share in the chat, like, how did you find the process? Like, what did you expect from this, and how did it turn out? If anything surprised you in this process, share your insights in the chat. Some of the things that you might also think about is whether that AI model has individualized your experience or not. Hopefully you've interacted with it and you gave it your definition of time value of money, and it kind of built on that. And my final reflection to you is, how would you model the responsible use of AI for your students? Like, what kind of roles would you encourage your students to utilize the AI for? Would it be as a brainstorming engine? So how will you support them in doing that? Would it be more relevant for your students to be a debating counterpart? Like, do you use a lot of debates and investigate a lot of theories? Do you foresee it to be the guide on the side for your students, or a collaborator, a study buddy? I was just trying to support my daughter. She has ADHD with an assignment that is missing, and I realized that because the topic is really too big for her, we needed to use AI to break it down using Goblin tools, and it did a really good job and identifying the specific research areas and information that she needs to collect to fulfill the requirements of the assignments and the level of detail that the assignment is requiring. So it kind of gave her pointers to overcome her like writer's block and research block. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the start. Um, we This is what we did today. We looked at the responsible use of AI. What does it look like? And examples from what I did, and some practical applications that you could walk away with, whether it is, you know, having something on your learning management system, like a learning module. It doesn't have to be that big and exhaustive. I know I'm can sometimes be crazy and, build a giant. But it could be small. It could be guidelines in your assignment itself. So assignment by assignment, just a few lines in your assignment, and that can initiate that conversation. It could be language in your work plan. Okay, we all do work plans. What are we going to do during the term? Just have it under evaluation and assessment, as part of evaluation and assessment. A few lines, not something too big. You may look up Forza's assessment scale and just cut pieces. If you're happy with this one, there's an earlier version of this. They used this color code. They didn't want to use red and green and yellow because it's kind of red is danger. So they didn't want to use that. So they updated the assessment scale and color coded it differently. So you may just take that strip and just reference force and include it in your assignment and just say this is code blue or this is code pink, and students will pick up. They need that type of guidance. Okay. Or you might want to model something in the classroom for the different use or responsible use of AI that can really augment education and personalize the learning experience for your learners. And with this, I'm going to open up the floor for questions, Shane, and hopefully, I can't see the chat, but hopefully there are some good insights and questions over
Oh,
there.
so many questions, so many good questions, and just a quick bit of feedback. People have really loved this presentation. There have been a couple of comments about this being their favorite one from the whole series because you're so practical, because of what you're offering is so useful in the classroom. Probably the most important question that keeps coming up is whether or not you can share the Brightspace module. Some folks who have Brightspace would love to see the entire module if that's at all possible, but there's a real interest in actually seeing that whole thing. Similarly, there was a real interest in seeing the AI use guidelines document that you shared as well. So if there's a way to share that, that'd be great too. If you can just send the link to me, and then I will send out all that information on Monday with the recording of the session as well.
So, as I mentioned at the beginning, this comes as part of the Airbus model that Uta Fiedler and Uta Fiedler is on the call, is on this session now, and we developed the Airbus model together, and it stands for accessibility and inclusion, responsible use of AI, backward learning design, authentic assessments, and sharing the load with students. We've
Okay,
created a repository of resources under the Airbus model as a Google Drive. I'm happy to share that with, I'm happy. This is what we presented at the Teaching Professor Conference, so I'm happy to share that.
wonderful.
Um, and yeah, and with the Brightspace, yeah, let's get in touch and I'll see if that I'll just have to check if I don't know about the privacy things and whether it's going to be open outside of the organization or not, but I don't mind sharing the knowledge, of course.
Okay,
Just a disclaimer, it was done for business students, so it might be business students relevant. If
sure.
you like the structure and you'd like to adapt it to your own industry, feel free.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Yeah, so just send me whatever links you can, and I will share those with everybody
Yeah.
on Monday. And to anybody who is in the program, you should receive everything by Monday. If you don't, please email me and let me know. Okay, so a couple of questions. I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but I do want to get a couple questions in here. One of the questions that I saw, actually, I think this came out of the chat, was more of it was a statement, but I think it's a question. The problem that I see with the use of AI as a study buddy or personal tutor is its frequency of error. So I would ask about that. How do you address that with students in terms of understanding that if they are working with a sort of AI study buddy, that it may give them wrong information at some point?
Yeah, well, my first response would be that students are aware of the pitfalls of AI. They are becoming more AI savvy than like I have like they know that it's not good with math, for example, that certain AI models are better with coding than with content generation. So how I resolved that, and that's what I advise other post-secondary educators to do, is I moved to the course agents. So through ChatGPT, I've created my own GPT, which is an AI assistant. Through Copilot, you can create a Copilot agent based on what, licenses and technology your institution is adopting. So I created this. So it's very easy. It's not rocket science. It's not, believe me, it's very easy. I am someone that could not operate a remote control, and I've created my own AI agents for my courses. Why do I advise this? Because you train it on the knowledge base that you want. So my AI agent has my work plan, it has my curriculum document, it has my assignments, it has my rubric. It has my OER because I'm not using published book for my, so it has an OER that kind of covers the base of knowledge that I'm covering in the course. And I set the boundaries of the AI. And I tell my students, you're going to use AI, so you might as well use my agent because my agent is trained for that particular course. It might still hallucinate, but the level of hallucination is going to be significantly be reduced because you trained it on the knowledge from where to extract the information. And those AI agents that I use for my courses, they can answer also kind of time-consuming emails that could be related to deadlines, how to book an appointment, the evaluation scheme, grading policy. Like they could extract information from your work plans and just answer those questions to the students instead of you writing emails back and forth. So that would be one way to overcome this challenge.
Okay. All right. Great. Awesome. Um, Similar, but a little bit different. I think one of the big concerns that people are becoming more aware of is the environmental impact of AI. And I know that there are students out there who sort of object to or don't want to use AI, even when their teachers are encouraging them to, because of the environmental impact. How do you respond to a student who doesn't want to use AI at all, even for like the exercise, the prompting exercise that you provide, um, because of the environmental implications?
Um, So I know that this is kind of a discourse out there, the environmental implications, but and I've heard, conflicting views. There is no consensus that AI in itself has that huge negative environmental impact. The data centers do. So the data centers are consuming, I think the statistic that I read was in 1 hour they consume the annual average of electricity between 2018 and 2024, something like that. So huge amounts of electricity. These are the data centers. So guess what? Netflix uses data centers to create the recommendations and the analytics for you and to personalize your experience on Netflix. So who is giving up Netflix because of the environment? Or Spotify. So all of the other streaming services that we now have been part of our lifestyle, we're using those, and these are grabbing information from data centers. So it is similar to other technology that is out there that we are we're just using. It's for me, it's another technology, and that's I get to ask students to how did they come up with this conclusion and really look at how did they develop that thought. So put a little bit of critical thinking in that. And if they'd like to adopt a lifestyle that has low carbon footprint, and that's fine. These are choices that students could make.
Okay, great, awesome. Um, how do you, well, I guess the question, this was from Lisa, do you find that students are coming to you with varying degrees of AI understanding and comfort and use? And how do you address those sorts of discrepancies with folks?
I'm finding that students are more comfortable talking about their use of AI and kind of verifying the use of AI. I've had a student, like a mind-blowing story, a student from Mexico, and he came in to show me his work. So at the end, he should have the task was to create a pre-recorded video about alternative dispute resolution. And yeah, the law because I as part of my business law course. Anyways, so he came and showed me his process. He said, I created a script in Spanish, my mother tongue. I used this application to translate it, and then I used ChatGPT to make it more professional. And then I went on to Synthesia, used an avatar because my pronunciation is really bad and it's not going to be clear to other students. And I used an avatar, fed it the script, and created this video. Is this appropriate use of AI or not? So you look at this, okay, so and he showed me all the work, like he showed me all the prompts and showed me all the conversations and walked me through the process. And then when I look at, because I am outcome focused, did he demonstrate the learning outcome or not? Yes, check mark. He used technology to overcome language barrier, and this is absolutely fine. So what I'm seeing is that more and more of these conversations, when we talk about it in the classroom, when we provide those guidelines, there are more and more conversations around what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. I still do see inappropriate use of AI. I kind of suspect that, an assignment is generated by AI, but it's not referenced. And that is, again, a conversation initiated with students.
Okay, great, fantastic. Kind of along the same lines, there was a question that if you're using the AI assessment scale, what would be an appropriate way to ensure compliance and hold students accountable if they run afoul of those guidelines and expectations? How do you sort of enforce that?
I would say build trust and really verify use. So students are expected to cite their conversations, so try to cite the models that they're using and include a reference to the conversation. So really verify and verify whether it did go along the guidelines, the assessment scale guidelines that you provided or not, and foster that environment of trust. Really talk about AI and model and say you can model. You can say I've actually this assignment was recreated using AI. I did edit it for maybe plain language. So put a disclaimer yourself. Role model really the responsible use of AI. If you want students to cite it, you also have to put a disclaimer there or a declaration and on how have you used it? Have you used it for editing? Have you used it for proofreading? It's okay to say that you have.
Okay, great, fantastic. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and close at this point. There are still more questions, but we are almost out of time. So I just want to thank you, Manal, so much for this presentation. I know that people found it very, very useful, and it was a delight. I know we've worked together in the past, and it was a delight to see you again and work together again. Yes, thank you so much for
Thank you very
coming
much for
today.
having. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So as we close, a couple of quick notes for everyone. When the webinar closes or when you leave the webinar, a very short survey will pop up in your browser window. Please do take a minute or two to complete that survey. Your feedback will mean a lot to us. Also, I will be sharing out links to the recording of today's webinar and Manal's slides on Monday of next week, and any of the other resources that Manal is able to share with me. And for those of you in the program, please do plan to attend our final office hours on Friday in Zoom at 12 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll be speaking with actually the founder and CEO of GPT-0, Edward Tien, that day. So thank you again and for attending today. And I look forward to seeing everyone soon.
Thank you.